Okay, thank you for coming in so well, everyone. As you know, today marks Rosh Chodesh again, and I'm lucky enough to introduce you to today's speaker, who's Rabbi Dweck. Rabbi Dweck is the senior rabbi of the Sephardi community of the UK. He was, however, born in the United States and has lived in Los Angeles, California, and in New York. He studied in Jerusalem, and he achieved a BA in Liberal Studies in Santa Monica in California. Rabbi Dweck served as a rabbi in Brooklyn, in New York, and also as a head teacher in a large Jewish day school, also in Brooklyn. Currently, however, he lives in London, and which is why we've been lucky enough to secure him to come and speak to us today. So, Rabbi Dweck, welcome to JCoSS.
And I want to thank also Ben Abram for inviting me and for giving me an opportunity to speak with everybody. Good afternoon. A question to begin with a show of hands. How many of you are known by various people by different names? Different people call you different names. Yeah? Okay, give them out. So I have about 10 different names that people call me. Different cities, different countries, different roles. What I want to think about with you this afternoon, for the time that we've got, is our collective name. The collective name of what we would otherwise call the Jewish people. We have, in just a few days, Yom HaAtzmaut coming up, which will celebrate the independence of the State of Israel. And there is one thing that I think, this is only my personal view, which I'm sharing with you. There's something that we miss as a result of 2,000 years of exile. The Jewish people have been away from their home for 2 millennia. And because the time is so great, it's very easy to forget during that period of time. It's not easy for me to remember what I had for dinner last night. 2,000 years of history, there's stuff that falls through the cracks. So when we think about Jews, and if you were asked, who are the Jews? What might you say? Am I allowed to ask for a participant? Yeah, great. Wait. What would you say? Who are the Jews? They are, people of Israel. What does that mean? The state of Israel?
Yeah.
The state of Israel, okay. So if they've never lived there? Still?
Ancestors.
Okay, ancestors, good. What else? Yeah.
People who practice the religion of Judaism.
Okay, so you're saying that it's religious, right? People who practice the religion of Judaism. Are there any others that we're missing? Yes?
We are the Jews.
Okay. And by we you mean?
Us. If you're not
In this room?
Nah, well, just us, you know?
Oh, I get it.
You know that feeling of us.
So, okay, the collective we, yeah? As opposed to the royal we. So what we're talking about is a religion or a nation. How did we start? Did we start as a religion or did we start as a nation? How did we start? A religion. Let's think about it. Yeah? You were going to say a nation, okay. If we look at the general history, religion was not central to our people. It wasn't what we were about. Yes, God always played a role. If you go back to Abraham, God always played a role. There was always a question of our relationship to God. But we never find, at least not in the Bible, we never find God talking to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, the forefathers, the matriarchs, about a Torah. Not mentioned. Not once. Only one thing is mentioned. And what is that? Only one thing is mentioned to them by God, to the people. Yeah. Well, yeah, it says they'll have kids. But kids always follows with something. Yeah?
Israel.
Israel meaning
The nation of Israel. Abraham's descendants, land.
land. Land. It's the only thing that's discussed. So even when it discusses children in lands. Moses, right, is sent to take the people out of Egypt and to do what? To bring them into the land. They have a pit stop along the way and they do this Torah thing at Mount Sinai, but the goal is to get the people into the land. Does Moses achieve the goal? No. He doesn't end up taking them in. Someone else ends up taking them in. Who is it, by the way? Yeah?
Joshua.
Excellent. So they end up getting into the land. And what are they looking for when they get there? What are they working towards when it is that they get there? Are they looking to see how it is that they can follow their religion? No. They're not interested in following their religion. They're interested in trying to find a way that they can self-govern. Is their government outlined in Torah? Yes. The Torah is only given, and the laws of Torah are only given in terms of application within a system of government. So the people of Israel, which is all that we were known by once we became a nation, is our name. Israel is our name. It was our first name. It is a name that has been dormant for 2,000 years. We haven't used it. Instead, what have we used? Jew. Why do we use that name? We're going to go back to Israel in a minute, right? The name. Why do we use that other name? Where did that come from? Why did it change?
Does it come from Judah? Yeah.
Judah. And Judah is what?
The sons of-
One of the sons of Jacob, became later a tribe. And so why would it be that of 12 tribes of Israel, Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, of 12 tribes, I pick one, and that's the name that I end up taking? What happened to everybody else? What happened to everybody else?
Well, I know Judah was the ruling tribe.
Yes.
The rest of the tribes were lost in that.
Okay, so very important point. It's a royal family. The royal family of Israel comes from the tribe of Judah. And so the people are called after their tribe. Now there was a long history, and we don't have time to go through all of it, but there was a split in the nation. And there ended up being a split in the monarchy. And the split in the monarchy happened after the reign of King Solomon, who was the son of King David. And that monarchy went into two. 10 tribes of the 12 went one way, 2 tribes of the 12 went another way. The 2 tribes that went another way were Judah and Benjamin. Today, that's all is left. The 10 tribes, we don't know what happened. So all that is left among the nation of Israel are these tribes, Judah and Benjamin, and we call them after the monarch, whose tribe was Judah. We are called Jews because of that. So now think about this for a minute. You're a nation. Your entire code of law, even though it may be religious in nature because it includes a relationship with God, is embedded in a governmental system. You are a nation. You have a capital city. You have a government and a head of government. You have a Supreme Court called what? What is the Supreme Court of the nation of Israel called? What's it called? Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin is the Supreme Court. They have the ability, according to Jewish law, to adjudicate the laws of the Torah and to apply them to the times of the people as the times change. The principles are there, immovable. The principles are applied to the times and adjudicated by the Supreme Court. All of that's gone. We lost it 2,000 years ago. So now think about this. If you are the leader of the nation, the heads of state, the people entrusted to hold in trust the future of the nation, knowing that your nation will be exiled, You will step off your land. There's no telling where it is that the people will go. There's no telling that you will survive and that the people will survive. If you had to take with you something, if you had to set up for such an event, what might you do? Think about if it happened in this country. It's harder to think about in this country, to be honest, because there's not real values. When you sing the national anthem, you sing for what? Here.
The Queen.
The Queen. When you sing the national anthem in America, you sing about what? Freedom. It's the only nation in the world right now that is set up on values. So it's difficult when we're in another country that is only set up in terms of a bunch of people happening to be together on an island that want to self-govern, and they find a government and a system of government. You have to implant artificially values, do you not? You understand what I'm saying? They're not part of the fundamental foundation of this country. They were implanted later, artificially. But they're there. So when we talk about British values, we're not 100% sure what we mean. The Constitution, also unwritten, not exactly clear. So do this with me. Imagine that this happened in the United States of America. Can we do that? So the United States of America has a set of creeds, of ideas, of values that they hold to be the heart and soul of the country. Does anybody know where those values are written down? Does anybody know? Yes?
Constitution.
Not exactly. Close. There's only, yeah?
The Declaration.
The Declaration of Independence. In the Declaration, they declare their understanding of human rights, which they say are unalienable, they cannot be changed, and they are God-given. That is what the United States was established on. You sing the national anthem, and it's all about the land of the free and the home of the brave. So now imagine that China was taking over the United States of America. It's not crazy, it could happen. China's taking over the United States of America, and they will now make it theirs, and they will disperse all of these citizens of the United States throughout the Chinese country, land, what have you. Bring some of their citizens in, and so on. What might the American people want their children to know and remember if they at all cared that their children should remember what it means to be Americans? Yes?
Declaration of Independence.
Yes. Now what happens if the only ones that are able to survive are the people that come from California? Everybody else is pretty much gone. So you've got Californians. I'm a Californian. That's why I'm here. Better weather, by the way. I went through 4 seasons just getting here. So Californians. Now are Californians Americans? Yes. But they're known as Californians. Why? They're from California. They start to be called Californians. They call themselves Californians. But they study the Declaration of Independence. They teach it to their children. There's a way that they are taking what they are, who they are, their identity, and hoping to transfer it down. That's what we did. We made the system of our thought mobile. So it used to be a governmental system set up in a land with a capital city, a holy temple, a king, a supreme court. We made portable in Torah and in its literature. And we start our children to study it, to hold it dear, in hopes of what? That someday we may end up coming back home. And that we wouldn't forget who we were. So we celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut because it happened. Astonishingly. 2,000 years later. And against all odds, all sociological, human law, the people that called themselves Jews, because they came from the tribe of Judah, resurrected their national name and called themselves Israel again. They didn't have to. They've been called Jews for so long that it would have been perfectly normal for them to call this place Judea. But they didn't. They called it Israel. And they recognized again the fact that we were a nation before we were a religion on this earth, with an address on the planet. And it just so happens to be that we came back to the same land that we left. And that no matter how far you dig in that land, no matter how deep you dig, whatever it is that you find has got our name written all over it. After 2,000 years, we reestablished ourselves as a nation. And the national anthem is Hatikva, which means simply the hope. A hope that is 2,000 years running. It's pretty remarkable. Say what you will about the current situations, about the government, about the policies. All of that is nothing but about the religion. It's a faint echo of the fact that our people have been around all over this globe, fighting for our lives, teaching our principles to our children, literate when the whole world was in darkness and couldn't even read, and we came back. And we reestablished ourselves as a sovereign nation in the land that we left. You ask me, Moses could split the sea 100 times. Would pale in comparison to that truth and reality that you and I know and see. And it makes everybody very uncomfortable. With this I'll end. It makes the Jewish people uncomfortable, and it makes the non-Jewish people uncomfortable. For various reasons. It makes the Jewish people uncomfortable, first of all, because suddenly we have to consider what it means to be Israel. Do we care what that means? Do I wonder what it means that I am a Jew and possibly part of the nation of Israel? It's the first thing that you said when I asked the question. Do we care about that place? Does it mean anything to us? And for that matter, does it matter to me that my history is over 3,000 years old? Does it mean anything to me? Does it make a difference? We can explain it, accept it, explain it away, what have you, but it's a question that every Jewish person needs to consider. What it means to me. I can either pretend that it doesn't mean anything, decide emphatically that it doesn't mean anything, or hold it on my shoulders. For the non-Jews, it means we don't go away. Which to some doesn't matter, to some it's a big problem. Mark Twain wrote, when he was asked about the Jewish people, he said, it would probably be, this is before the state of Israel was established, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said, it would probably be a good idea to make sure that they didn't get together in a country. This is his words. He said, it wouldn't be a good idea for the most cunning minds to be together in a country. It would be like the horse knowing its own strength. We'd never ride again. Is that anti-Semitic? Not anti-Semitic? True? Not true? I don't know. I'm not making any judgments about it. But there's a concern. What do you do with the people that doesn't go away? And after 2,000 years comes back home? What are the implications for that people, for the rest of the world? And when you think in a lifetime, 70 years, that's all they've been. After a period where the people could have been completely annihilated, no one would have expected the Jewish people to get up after the Holocaust. Nobody would have expected the Jewish people to be a people after the Holocaust. And it becomes not only a place where we're able to live and thrive, but a place that ultimately becomes a center of solutions for the world on so many levels. That's just a glimpse of what it is that we celebrate on Yom Ha'atzmaut. It's not a question of religion. It's not a question of politics. It's not a question of anything but identity. And how an identity could run for so long with our hands tied behind our backs and for us to be able to stand with heads held high, to speak our name, Israel, and have it be relevant and manifest, and not some dusty, archaic term that nobody knows anymore or feels anymore. I wish everybody a Yom HaAtzmaut Sameach, and thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much to Rabbi Dweck for being the first official Spanish and Portuguese Sephardic representative of that community at JCoSS. So thank you for adding to our pluralist credentials. And I hope it's the first of many visits. And thank you also on a personal level for giving us the opportunity to just stop in the middle of our day, to mark the new month, to mark the beginning of Chodesh Iyar, and for us to just stop and think for 20 minutes about something else, to take our heads out of maths and exams and everything else and elections that's going on, and to just stop and have a moment of pause and reflection. And I think from what you said, Rabbi Dweck, that all of us will go away with a lot of food for thought and discussion from your words. So thank you again very much.